Blog Talk Radio.
So you want your charity to succeed. It's no secret that combining online and offline techniques is the key to modern-day fundraising success, and practical advice is what you need. The Nonprofit Coach with Ted Hart is the perfect place to learn from experts around the world who, along with our host, provide advice you can use. Ted Hart is without a doubt one of the foremost nonprofit thought leaders. Also a successful author, his books cover a broad range of topics from major gift fundraising to use of social media and how to succeed online. Ted lectures around the world, but now he's here for you. From the latest in charity news, technology, fundraising, and social networking, Ted and his guests help you maneuver through this economic downturn in the charitable sector to greater levels of efficiency and fundraising success. Remember, this is a live call-in show. Become part of the show by adding your voice. Call now at 347-324-3080. After the show, you can find all our podcasts at tedhart.com. Just click on radio links. Don't forget to dial 347-324-3080. Now, welcome the host of the Nonprofit Coach, Ted Hart.
And welcome here to the latest edition of the Nonprofit Coach radio show. This is Tuesday, December 4th, and I'm coming to you live from the nation's capital and the national headquarters of the Charities Aid Foundation of America. We've got a very busy show. It seems here at year-end we always kind of get bunched up with the news and trying to get all of our great guests in because our last show of the holiday season is coming up on December 18th. As the announcer just mentioned, this is a live call-in show. When we get to page 2 expert today, you can call 347-324-3080. You can also join us over in the chat room. I see some folks over in the chat room. You can ask questions there. You can also email me today at tedhart@tedhart.com. As always, here on the Nonprofit Coach, we start with page 1 news. Over here on page 1, you can follow along with the radio links at tedhart.com. Click on radio links. First up today is a shout out to President Obama. Thank you very much, President Obama, who says he will not support an annual limit on deductions, including those for charitable giving. The White House estimates that such a break could cost charities at least $10 billion a year. Now, there's an effort underway headed up by several very prominent groups, including the Association of Fundraising Professionals, to try to get Capitol Hill on board with protecting the charitable deduction. We want to urge you to contact AFP and specifically Jason Lee, who is their general counsel. You can reach him at jlee, that's Jlee, at afpnet.org, or call 703-519-8484. All of this information is available over in the radio links today. Show your support for the charitable deduction by supporting the White House's effort to beat back efforts to cap and or eliminate the charitable deduction. Next up here on the Nonprofit Coach is here at this giving season, there are many organizations that find ways to show how you can give back. It's a pleasure to welcome back here to the Nonprofit Coach a good friend and the host of the monthly Guide Star Minute here on the Nonprofit Coach. Lindsay Nichols is here with a special Guide Star Minute. What's going over at Guide Star today, Lindsay?
Hi, Ted. Thanks for having me here. Well, we are doing a giving season give back contest, which is really, we want to hear from the public, from nonprofits. We want a 15-second video about what inspires you to give back during the holiday season. We know that 1/3 of the entire year's online donations are made during this time of year, so it's a really important time for nonprofits. And we just want to listen. Why is this so important to you? We know everybody wants a tax deduction, but they also have a really emotional connection to the nonprofits they donate to. So a 15-second video about why that is, and then we are going to have a first, second, and third place winner, and we will give the first place winner a 30-minute consultation with our new CEO, Jacob Harold, 15 copies of our new guidebook for nonprofits, More Money for More Good, and of course we'll do some publicity. And if you are just an individual donor, you can give that first place prize to the nonprofit of your choice, and then it kind of goes from there. So we're really excited.
Yeah, second place is 15 hard copies of More Money for More Good, and so forth. We do have a link to this exciting contest over in the radio links today at tedhart.com. And this is for anyone in the United States who's not employed by GuideStar itself.
Exactly.
And you can either be with a 501c3 nonprofit organization or be an advocate or a supporter of your favorite 501c3 organization and submit your 15-second or shorter video. So this is not a high bar, but an impressive opportunity to show your support.
And we've received some really creative and really kind of, it gave me goosebumps to watch these videos. People are so passionate about these causes, and they have a real reason why they're giving this time of year. So it's great to see. And 15 seconds, we want to make it very short and quick and not a big effort for people. We upload them to our YouTube page. We're also going to have a Viewer's Choice Award, so the YouTube video on our page that gets the most likes will get some publicity out of that as well. So we're trying to make this a win-win for everyone, but it's the first time we're doing it. We'll see how it goes. We're really excited about it, so I appreciate this platform.
How fun. And what's the deadline to get in on this contest?
Midnight December 31st. So you really have for 2012 to get these in, and then we'll start the judging next month, actually. I can't believe it's going to be January already.
Oh, terrific. So that's a little bit of an extension, I think, from your website.
Yeah.
Your website says December 18th. You're extending that to December 31st. That's great. So everybody listening today knows about the extension. That's terrific. And I hope that when you have your winners, you'll come back here on the Nonprofit Coach and let us know who the winners are and possibly bring the winners along with you.
Oh, we'd love to do that. Thank you for this platform. We really appreciate getting the word out this way.
Absolutely. And that's the host of the GuideStar Minute here on the Nonprofit Coach, Lindsay Nichols. From GuideStar. Hey, you have a wonderful holiday, and we'll catch up with you next month.
Sounds great. You too, Ted. Take care.
All right, take care. Next up here on the Nonprofit Coach is just, as you know, we always try to bring for nonprofit organizations little tips and ways that you can save money and expand your reach. And over in the radio links today, particularly for smaller nonprofits that may have trouble with things such as voicemail and receiving faxes and things of that sort, you can potentially save money by eliminating that second phone line at your organization if you're looking for ways to trim your budget. By using K7, K7.net is unified messaging. These are free faxes and voicemail messages that go right into your email. So all the details are over in the radio links today at tedhart.com, and you can sign up for free web-based unified messaging for your organization. And we've got a couple of little tips there on how to make that really work for your organization. Next up here on the Nonprofit Coach, now I'm just going to set this up because today here on page 1 and page 2, we have 3 of the most popular people ever in the history of the Nonprofit Coach. We have coming up next here, we have number 6. Number 6, the most popular guest here, expert on the Nonprofit Coach, is Clint O'Brien. Clint O'Brien is here. He's actually going to be back here on the show coming up. And Clint, thank you again for coming back here to the Nonprofit Coach. Happy holidays.
You too, Ted.
Now, Clint, we're putting together a really special show, you and I, to help people, help our listeners make sense of sort of the division, I guess, in this country post-election in the values that represent nonprofit organizations and how you need to represent that in your campaigns. Now, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but just give us a little bit of what people can expect on December 11th, next week, when you are back here as our page 2 expert.
Sure. Well, you and I were talking about lots of people in our sector were talking about the controversy earlier this year with the Susan G. Komen Foundation when that nonprofit organization announced that it would no longer fund Planned Parenthood. And we got talking about the pitfalls and the opportunities that nonprofits face. And frankly, social enterprises like my company, Care2, face them as well. But these are the pitfalls that we face when it comes to social values and making sure that our conduct stays true to our mission as well as to the expectations of our stakeholders and partners and donors. And, my company, Care2, is a B Corporation, which is a type of social enterprise, but we have an audience of 21 million do-gooders who are passionate about making a difference for the causes that they care about. And we're also privileged to work with more than 1,000 nonprofits. So we've learned from our own experience as well as from observing our clients' experiences about, the challenges that are associated with this, because you have to communicate your core values consistently and make partnerships that make sense. I mean, for example, some nonprofits partner with corporations and others don't. I mean, the Nature Conservancy does, and Environmental Defense Fund doesn't. Why is that? And what are the concerns that lead them to make those choices?
So next week here on the show, Clint, next week here on the show, you're going to really help us and help my listeners sort out sort of this intersection of core values and promoting your organization, representing those who support you, and that, as you're pointing out here, is not always black and white.
Well, exactly. It's messy too, and that's what makes it interesting. But it's also, it's kind of an area of risk and has to be managed, and people have to be very proactive in their communications. And in that spirit, I would encourage your listeners to maybe send in suggestions for topics that we could cover next week when we have this discussion, which I'm really looking forward to.
Well, I am as well. And Clint, congratulations on being chosen by our listeners as the number 6 most popular expert here on the Nonprofit Coach of all time. So congratulations, and thank you for agreeing to come back and share your expertise here on the Nonprofit Coach next week, December 11th, 12 noon Eastern.
Looking forward to it. Take care.
All right. We'll talk to Clint O'Brien from Care2.org again next week. Now, as I said, a real special treat for all of us today, particularly for me as your host, is that we also have another top 10 expert here on the Nonprofit Coach. The ever-popular Kay Sprinkle-Grace is here to talk about her upcoming show. Now, Kay, congratulations. You are the number 2 most popular expert ever in the history of the Nonprofit Coach radio show. What makes you so popular?
Oh, Ted, what a terrible question. I don't know. I really don't know what makes me popular. I just know that I speak from my heart, and the longer I'm in this profession, the more I value it and the more I really treasure the professionalism and the involvement of volunteers. And it is just my unending belief that we are the most vibrant sector of our economy. We are just simply extraordinary. And my biggest concern these days is we kind of get in the way of ourselves. And that's really what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about self-gifting. And the self-gift that I'm going to talk about is how do we keep from getting in the way of ourselves when we have so much that we can accomplish if we just let our mission be our beacon and our vision be our roadmap. And so that's really what I want to say when I come on December 18th.
Well, it's great to have you back here on December 18th, and I just want to make note to all of my listeners today that you are so popular here on the show that you are our perennial holiday show expert. You, over in the radio links today, people will find a link to the last time that you were here on the show, which was December 20th, 2011, one of the most popular podcasts in the history of Nonprofit Coach. So we've provided a link to that podcast. And then, of course, a link, as you just mentioned, you'll be back here wrapping up this year for the Nonprofit Coach on December 18th. We will then immediately begin our winter holiday hiatus for the show, coming back the first week of February from the holidays. So, Kay Sprinkle-Grace, congratulations on being the number 2 most popular expert in the history of the Nonprofit Coach. Not at least a surprise to any of us here, and we're thrilled that you will be back to share your wit and wisdom here as our guest for the annual holiday show.
Well, I can't wait, Ted, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, I understand you're down there in Houston.
I am. I'm in Houston.
Nonprofit executive. Yeah, you're thrilling the nonprofit executives down in Houston, and you'll be here live as our Page 2 expert in just a couple of weeks.
Thanks so much, Ted.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Until then, Kay, you be well.
Okay.
Take care. And that's Kay Sprinkle Grace, who will be back here as our Page 2 expert on the Nonprofit Coach radio show on December 18th. And that will be our last show before the winter holiday break that will take us through February. So that's what we have here on Page 1 News. That means it's time for Page 2. Now, our Page 2 expert also has the distinction of being the number 7 most popular guest here on the Nonprofit Coach of all time, and that is no other than Steve Hafner. Upon graduation from George Mason University in 1991, Steve became involved in the nonprofit industry, working with Higher Education Publications, Inc. He developed what would become the most definitive database on corporate matching gift policies, Gift Plus. Steve founded HEP Development Services in 1996. He provides data services to the nonprofit industry. His philosophy of providing accurate data with phenomenal customer service has been the backbone of his firm's growth. And here live is the number 7 most popular expert in the history of the Nonprofit Coach, Steve Hafner.
Hey, Ted, good to be on with you. It's great to be in the top
Steve.
10.
Yeah, no, well, congratulations. I'm going to ask you the same question that I just asked Kay Sprinkle Grace, who's our number 2 most popular. What makes you so popular?
Well, I think our methods of matching gifts and the ability to double a donation and impact your cause with very little to no effort is a very popular theme. And in a time of an economy that is rebuilding, I think you have to look for every potential dollar out there to fund your cause.
Well, I agree, and your organization does even more than that. So what we want to explore today is exactly how people can be successful with matching gift support. But you also help folks beyond matching gifts. So why don't you give us a little bit more background on the various services of HEP Development Services?
Sure. Yeah, what we do, Ted, is we provide various data enrichment services which help nonprofits engage donors, and they can be very basic services such as email appending, updating addresses, updating home phone numbers, getting into opt-in cell phone numbers so that you can engage the donor. You can't raise money if you can't reach your donors, right? We also do things such as wealth mining. We provide asset-based wealth tracking. And what makes HEP unique is our next-generation technology where we're literally tracking wealth in real time. Of course, it's all public domain data, but instead of a one-time screening, sort of one and done, and you provide the data back to the nonprofit, HEP provides you a daily email alert on real-time transactions that are taking place. So something of interest, if I'm a fundraiser and I'm responsible for 5, 6, and 7-digit type gifts, I want to know if something's going on with my pool of prospects that I'm managing. That's what HEP allows the nonprofit end user to do.
I want to explore all that a little bit further with you, but can we talk a little bit about an issue that I don't think is discussed enough, and that is the ethics of data mining and the ethics of appending information and all that, and why it's important to work with a firm that is watching where is this data coming from.
Absolutely. Sure.
Go ahead.
What
do nonprofits need to keep in mind? Because just mining the internet and taking information off the internet is not seen as ethical. So where does your firm come in making sure that if I'm using information, I'm using it appropriately?
What we do is all of our information, Ted, is sourced, and I'll give you a really good example. With email appending, for example, we have what's called an opt-in file. So these are email addresses from folks who opted in through any number of sources, say a magazine subscription, could have ordered something, whatever the case may be. And what I tell people, and I was on the phone with a larger nonprofit yesterday looking at doing some email appending, I gave an example of a school in Virginia, a state school, that had done an email append. And what the alum had asked actually how they had gotten the email after doing the email append, and while you oftentimes won't get asked that, occasionally you will, and you better have a good answer. And so in this particular case, we were actually able to source the email from where it came, the date it came in, and the time. And so to be able to provide that level of detail on it was good for our customer, in this case the state school, but also it is important to know where the data is coming from.
And when you say sourcing, if someone were a client of yours, you're able to backtrack and share the trail of how that information came about and how that was truly opt-in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly
and to your experience, how often is that very important detail missed?
We do what we do, Ted, and so we don't focus, to be candid, on all of the other vendors out there. And so I don't see a lot of, say, unsourcing. For example, I would assume that all the other vendors are adhering to, a fairly strict code of how they obtain data. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you've seen the evolution of our firm over the last 13, 14 years. You don't get to be successful in this industry if you cut corners.
Well, and that's true. I guess I wasn't so much focusing on your competition or folks that are doing that, but charities themselves, because I have in my travels run across charities or executives who feel that if it's on the internet, if I find an email address or find a phone number, I'm free to then use that email address. I'm free to then prospect that person. And there's a difference between a one-off contact and asking to communicate than to add someone to your database as if you own that data.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't just go adding names to someone who isn't a donor, or someone who hasn't attended a function or shown some level of interest. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And in doing it, so in the information that you provide, what I want to do is I want to focus on sort of the various aspects of what you just discussed. Now, you're most known for the major gift work because you really sort of pioneered making that accessible. The matching gift, right? The matching gift. You sort of pioneered making that accessible. I mean, the fact that that's been around has been around for many, many years. But for a lot of charities, that was really a mystery in terms of how do I process all of that and how do I know who matches and all that. So if someone is a client of yours, and we've got listeners today who are looking to double and sometimes triple or more the gifts that they're receiving, how does this work?
So what we try to do is every different medium with which a nonprofit can communicate with a potential donor and friend, Ted, we try to make matching gifts part of that discussion. And so the first thing, if I had just a small to maybe mid-level nonprofit that was interested in matching gifts, what I would do is the first thing we'd do is we'd give them a web presence, because matching gifts don't just walk in the door to any great degree. I mean, you will get some that trickle in, but the key to matching gifts, it's twofold: promoting it externally to your donor base and creating a culture within your organization of matching gifts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give folks a web presence where they can take the HEP plugin. You can plug it into your donation page through partnerships with various vendors, which we can talk about later. You can just paste it throughout your website on ways to help my nonprofit or ways to maximize my gifts. But what it does, it just gives that first baseline promotion of matching gifts. You can look up the company, determine if your employer is match eligible, and retrieve the matching gift form URL. That matching gift form URL is critical. If you don't have it, you've got to ask for it to HR. And by HEP providing it to the nonprofit and they're then providing it to the donor, you've made that process that much easier. Well,
and that's part of what you have streamlined, right? I mean, in the past, you had to contact the employee, have the employee go to their HR department, find the right person who has the form, fill out the form, send it to you, you sign the form and send it in for processing. And there's so many steps along that way that the employee might forget, or they don't know who to contact, or HR isn't responsive. And so the doubling of that gift, becomes very costly.
That's exactly right. And the easier you make it for the donor, the more likely you're going to have, more likely you're going to get that gift matched. Now, in addition to the matching gift link and getting a presence on your website, you also want to look at, depending on if you're higher ed or you're a nonprofit, charity, social service, whatever the case may be. We also want to look at what you're doing in direct mail. Are you sending a note that says, be sure to check with your company to see if it's match eligible? Or are you doing some front-end data mining so that you can target the donor and say, our records indicate you work for ExxonMobil and your gift will be matched?
And that's very powerful to be able to say that you're in the know, that you're there as a partner to expand the reach of that donor. I would imagine that that's pretty impressive to a donor to be able to make something like that happen.
No question. And occasionally I'll get asked, but what if our employment data is bad? What I tell them, I said, let's just assume that 3 out of 10 employer names on your system are, in fact, incorrect. It's a great opportunity to then softly say, our records indicate you work for ExxonMobil. If any of our information is dated, please take this opportunity to let us know where you're working. Turn it into a positive.
Absolutely, and so even if they're in the wrong place, you might be able to connect them to their new employer, or at the very least, update your records.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, Steve, we're going to take a real quick break here, and when we come back, I do want to come back and explore the issue of matching gifts, but keeping in mind the amount of time that we have today, I really want to delve into wealth identification and how that's done and how that works, and particularly at this time of year when a lot of nonprofits are preparing for 2013, how transformative could this be to even a small nonprofit in their ability to reach out and raise more money? And we'll be right back after the break. Just a real quick program note here. Just get out your pencils and your calendar. Of course, today we are live with Steve Hafner, and we're talking about finding wealth and increasing corporate matching gifts for your organization. Next week, we will be live here on the Nonprofit Coach with Clint O'Brien. We'll be talking about core values and how those match up with raising money for your organization and staying true to your population that is supporting you. We wrap up this calendar year for the Nonprofit Coach Radio Show on December 18th. Kay Sprinkle Grace will be here talking about how you can be strategic for the new year and how you can be successful in fundraising. This is our annual holiday show here on the Nonprofit Coach, and Kay Sprinkle Grace is always our guest for the holiday show. We then go on holiday hiatus, and that holiday hiatus will actually take us through until we come back from hiatus on February 5th. So the first show back in the new year will be February 5. And so during that time, we do want to draw your attention to more than 100 podcasts that are available here on the Nonprofit Coach. And over in the radio links today, we are providing you with a breakdown of the top 10 guests of all time, so that if you want to use that time to get caught up on some of the very most popular podcasts ever here on the Nonprofit Coach, you can join literally tens of thousands of your colleagues who are regularly listening to our podcasts. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of my listeners, and I will again before the end of the year, for really dramatically increasing the listenership this year. Our listenership has more than tripled over last year, and last year was a record-breaking year here on the Nonprofit Coach. So again, you can find all the podcasts at tedhart.com. Please join us now through the end of the year, and then mark the coming back from the holiday hiatus which will be on February 5th. We're going to head back over to our page 2 expert today, Steve Hafner from HEP Development.
Remember, our podcasts and archives are always available 24 hours a day at tedhart.com. Click on Radio Links. If you're listening live today, the phone lines are open. Call in and ask a question by dialing 347-324-3080. Now, back to the Nonprofit Coach with Ted Hart.
And we're back live here on the Nonprofit Coach with Steve Hafner, the number 7 most popular guest ever in the history of Nonprofit Coach. And I'm sure that this show will keep him very high in our ratings because we are talking about 3 different things that his firm, HEP Development, can help your organization. And I think that this is particularly a good time of year for these topics because, Steve, each of the various services that your firm offers help organizations transform the way that they raise money by expanding the use of data. And I call that smart fundraising, when you're not just sort of going from the gut or you're just sort of shotgun sending out emails and direct mail letters, but you're being more targeted. And part of that is wealth identification. How does that work, and what can that do for an organization?
Well, what it can do is it can turn you into what we call a multidimensional fundraiser, Ted. So instead of taking, the approach that, we're connected, you care about our cause, we're going to ask you for another donation, an annual gift, an annual appeal, whatever it may be. Identifying wealth within your database allows you to identify leadership givers, folks who might be interested in making a planned gift, folks who are grateful donors who are willing to support you beyond the typical annual gift. And by doing a wealth screening, a wealth monitoring, whatever you'd like to call it, you're going to focus in on, let's say, a database of 10,000 and get down to maybe, 500, 1,000 donors who could really advance your cause and impact, allow their gift to really impact what your organization does. So it's extremely important. It doesn't matter if you have 2,000 records or you have 3 million. We work with everybody in between. So it really is, candidly, it's critical.
And what have you seen actually identified? I mean, when you're doing this, are you sort of tapping into a super secret database of wealthy people that you provide to nonprofits, or are you helping them identify wealthy people in their own database?
It's wealthy people within their database, and what HEP data does differently than most of the other vendors out there. Data, Ted, has become a commodity. I have this database, you get this database. We all have 20, 25 different databases. What we focus on is getting to information, number one, that's as real-time as you possibly can, and number two, that might be unique in nature. For example, we have a product called Wealth Monitor, which is an alert service within our product, Wealth Tracker. Wealth Monitor tracks international events. Ted, that's some of the toughest data in the world to collect, and it's through a partnership with Financial Times, through our partners with Financial Times of London. And it allows us to see wealth-creating events that may or may not take place. And to be able to identify wealth events, be it international or in the U.S., ahead of time, before they take place, allows the fundraiser to make that engagement before everybody else is at the table. So it gets down to timing is of the essence. That's our focus.
Yeah, and so what have you seen? I mean, what are some examples of what's actually happened for nonprofits that you've worked with that came into this maybe not having a sense of the kind of major gift support that's possible, or is this just enhancing information they already had?
I'll give you an example of a large organization. We started working with them about 4 years ago, and they were spending a lot of money on wealth research. And to that end, the cost of wealth research has gone down dramatically. It's being done way more efficiently. There are more vendors in the space providing it, and as a result, the nonprofits are able to take advantage of this point in time. Just data is not that expensive. This one particular nonprofit, they just recently closed a $7 million gift on a person who we identified about 2 years ago. I think they spend about $5,000 a year with us annually, So I'll let you do the math on that.
That's a pretty good ROI you got there.
That's very good ROI. That's the kind of ROI our customers like to see, and we obviously like to provide. But it's not just for folks raising a $7 million gift, Ted. We've got listeners out here, I guarantee, who getting a $10,000 gift will mean a lot. And that's what this will do. A leadership gift is a leadership gift. So, we're looking for folks who are capable of $25K and over to help the nonprofits, and I know there's a lot of folks listening that would be a big deal for them. It doesn't have to be a $2 million gift necessarily.
And how do you do this identification? What sorts of criteria do you overlay on a charity's data file that gives them confidence that what you're providing to them is significant?
That's a great question. We're not doing any analytics or any we think this is happening. We give detailed asset-based information. So we're looking at, for example, SEC insiders information, people who are 144.13D filers, so they have to register with the SEC. That data has to get reported. They own more than 5% of a company, or they're a principal in a publicly traded company. We're looking at information on professional bios. We have a file of 60 million professional bios. We have software that is monitoring, 6 million plus corporate websites. So what we're looking to do is get information on getting back to this one-dimensional fundraiser versus a multi-dimensional fundraiser. We're looking to not just know that this person's a donor, but what's the next step? It's knowing where they work and what their job title is. That's step one. Step two is, are there any real estate assets potentially? Matching gift information, of course. Philanthropic interests. What other organizations have they donated to? Have they donated to similar institutions, similar organizations? That's
so
huge.
You create a profile for. Is it the first thing you do is you identify wealth indicators and then provide a profile? So I might know if they've made other major gifts elsewhere, what their areas of interest might be, what kind of wealth they have. I mean, that's actionable data. I mean, that's stuff that you can actually make decisions on.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what we're doing. And then we even get into things like speaking engagements. If you've got somebody who's graduated from a med school and they're going to be speaking on cardiothoracic medicine, if that person is in my pool of someone who I want to meet, I want to know that. Maybe I want to attend. Maybe I want to send them a note and congratulate them.
Now, what's the timeliness of this kind of data? I mean, is this updated on a regular basis? Is this fed to the charity, or is this sort of a marker in time?
It is a 24/7 email alert to the charity, and it can go directly to a researcher. So typically, depending on the size of your organization, Ted, you may get a couple of emails a day. You may get dozens of emails a day. It just depends on the size of the charity. But what we're looking to do, and our mission is to send you actionable data, intelligence on a daily basis on what's happening with your pool of donors. And then beyond that, what we attempt to do is continue to look for new donor sources, so you're not constantly going through the same donors year in and year out.
Now, how do I know if these are my people or just people that are similar?
So what you would do is the nonprofit would send us through a secure server their names and addresses of their donors, and we would screen this against our sources to identify the wealth, create the profile, and then provide it back to the end user, the nonprofits. And from that point forward, that individual, which we're already monitoring the wealth that's going on, if you will, but now we've made the link to the charity, which allows us to send daily reports on what's transpiring. So they have to, let's say they file to sell 1 million shares of stock, Ted. That has to be noted. So we're able to capture that and send it out to the nonprofit.
And again, that can really affect what the ask might be or the timeliness of making an appropriate ask.
You better believe it. Absolutely. As you said, actionable intelligence.
Yeah. So Steve, what's the ideal organization to make benefit of this? I mean, is this truly any size, any type of organization, or is there a point at which my listeners would know that they should be seriously considering this because it's timely?
I think any organization with more than 2,000 members or donors would want to consider this.
So as long as you've got 2,000 active files, or just 2,000 names in your database? 2,000
names in your database.
And then you have it screened. Now, what would say I'm a small nonprofit, and I have the minimum 2,000 files. What would that likely cost me? What would I need to budget for that?
We start out, Ted, at about $2,000, and it goes up from there. But our base packages, for example, one of the opportunities that we offer to any nonprofit is we'll screen up to 100,000 records free of charge. And then we'll do a demo showing the information that we found, and it's really eye-opening to the VPs and to the development officers to see where the wealth really is, because that's what we are showing them. We're showing them, heretofore, unknown wealth. We do that free of charge. So if nothing else, you can get an idea of what's in my database, so you can begin begin to benchmark it.
You can get sort of a preview.
Exactly.
Of and then I can decide if I want to buy the report.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you can say, listen, I'd like to focus in on 1,000 donors. So we have price points for that, but it starts at about, I believe it's $2,000, and it goes up. But to screen a 100,000 record file and ultimately buy the package, which would be giving you access to the profiles and giving you the 24/7 daily alerts, you'd be looking at about $5,000. So we're not talking a lot of money, and it really is true that the price of wealth screening has come down dramatically, which is good for the nonprofits.
If you think of it as in terms of you send out a direct mail and you don't know what's going to come back, there's some indication of prior giving, but if you're looking to transform and really jumpstart a major gift campaign, there's really no better way to start than to do an electronic screen of your database so that you know who to focus on.
Absolutely. That's exactly what you have to do.
Just because they're identified as having wealth in your with your data set doesn't mean that they're going to give. But you can't approach someone for a major gift if they don't have the money. So it's a chicken and the egg sort of thing where you've got to know that the wealth is there, and then you have to do the hard development work of actually building a relationship. But now you know what's that short list.
What's that short list, and hopefully what we're able to do as well is identify inclination. If we see inclination, that's a big indicator of will they support us.
Steve, we're going to take a real quick break, and when we come back, I want to touch on and learn more about sort of the third area that my listeners can benefit from, and that's data enrichment. What is that, and how does that work? And we'll be right back after the break.
Every day, millions of people are online, many of whom want to help, volunteer, and donate to a good cause. Nonprofit organizations can use many Google tools to reach potential donors around the world and raise more money. And as an approved nonprofit, it doesn't cost a thing. It's all free. Google Grants helps you promote your website with free advertising on Google.com through the AdWords program. With Google AdWords, you create ads and choose words or phrases related to your nonprofit organization. When people search on Google using one of your phrases, your ad will appear next to the Google search results under the Sponsored Links section. AdWords allows you to target certain geographic areas, dates, and times of day for your ads to appear. YouTube for Nonprofits is another tool that can boost donations to your organization. The program offers a number of perks that get your message out there and drive viewers to take action and donate. You can list your organization on YouTube's nonprofit channel and add call to action overlays on your videos to drive viewers to donate. Need help analyzing your website traffic and marketing effectiveness? Google Analytics is a free tool that will give you rich insight and help you increase the number of people that visit and donate to your site. Google Analytics can be invaluable to many people in your organization, such as development directors, marketing staff, and your web team. There are many other tools that can help you reach more donors and raise funds, like Google Checkout, where you can process credit card donations with no transaction fee, Google Sites to create a free website, and Website Optimizer, where you can figure out the best landing pages to turn site visitors into donors. To get started, apply for Google for Nonprofits today.
And we're back here live on the Nonprofit Coach. We have Steve Hafner, the number 7 most popular guest on the Nonprofit Coach, and he's coming to us from HEP Development Services, and we're exploring various ways that nonprofit organizations can prepare for the new year to transform their giving, and we've already explored today matching gifts and how that can change your giving model, wealth identification. And we're going to spend a few moments now with Steve exploring data enrichment. What is that? How does it work, and why would it be profitable?
So, Ted, what data enrichment is, it is a series of services that takes donor information and makes sure that information is accurate and up to date as possible. And our mantra is a little bit of data enrichment a lot of the time beats a lot of data enrichment when your data is bad. And so we have customers, we were talking about, customers from 2,000 records up to 2 million plus. We have users anywhere in that spectrum. And what we're looking to do specifically is keep the ability to contact these donors, make that available to the nonprofit so that you can have a higher contact rate. So, for example, we're appending home phone numbers. At any one point in time, 15% of your database could have inaccurate numbers. Well, that costs you money when you're dialing and you're not reaching somebody. Or that costs you money when you put postage together and you're not getting your message out to the individual. Same thing with emails. I mean, just being able to append an email address and engage people digitally as opposed to through traditional snail mail. There are a lot of nonprofits that have never appended email addresses. They have some, but they have never gone through an appending process, and it really is baseline it should be baseline in nonprofits' overall development strategy.
And how successful is that? I mean, one of the concerns, particularly with emails, is the source of that, and is that an opt-in? Does that provide an opportunity for the charity, or are they potentially erring into spam?
Well, they're not. So typically with an email append, keeping in best practices, we're obviously only appending email addresses where we know there's a relationship with the donor or the friend, right? So we're not prospecting. So we're looking at people with whom they have an existing relationship. What then transpires is you do an email append, and then the nonprofit will send what's called a welcome letter, Ted. That welcome letter is really important. That gives, it can say whatever the nonprofit wants it to say, but it may say something along the lines of, in an effort to better engage you, serve you, we'd like to communicate with you electronically. If you don't want to receive information from this charity, opt out here. So it's called a welcome letter, but what it does is it allows the donor to opt out of receiving digital communication. Once you've done that, you've passed muster, and I think that's important because you do want to make sure that you're appending data and doing things properly. But what it also does is it validates the address that was appended is in fact good, which is important.
And what when you're doing that work, do you also provide that strategic guidance in terms of a step-by-step kind of campaign? Because most nonprofits wouldn't necessarily know, okay, I do this first, I do this second. So do you provide a little bit of the recipe book to how do you do this well, and based on a lot of experience, this is what most populations would respond well to?
We do. That's exactly what we do. A good example, yesterday I got a call from a school in the Northeast that had never done an email append. And so this person, she wanted as much information on email appending as she possibly could get. And I said, you know what, we can go back and forth in email. Why don't we chat? So we talked. It was pretty clear they had never done that. That was the first question out of my mouth. And so that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a highly trained, in our case, a highly trained consultant who is going to give you a step-by-step. This is what will happen. This is how it's done. And this is what you can expect when we're over.
Now, what about phone number appending? What kind of advice are you giving, and what do you think nonprofits should be doing in terms of outbound phone calling these days?
In terms of strategy with phone calling, that's not really what we do. What we provide are the numbers so that they can go out and make these dials. And we traditionally, Ted, our business is across the board. It's not just higher ed, which is where we got our start. I would say we have a larger stake in the overall nonprofit community than in the higher ed community. And we're starting to see those trends with data enrichment as well. And not just large places, like an American Cancer or World Vision, which have been doing data enrichment for a long time. But these smaller and medium-sized nonprofits, they're starting to do it now. And so that's the trend that we're seeing.
And the success of that, is the production of all of that as rich as you've seen in the past, or is that becoming a tougher strategy to do well?
Oh, you mean with phone calling in general?
Yes. Yeah.
That's an excellent question. Personally, that's not my area of expertise, but my sense, and just from being in the space, is that it is tougher. I don't answer my home phone at all. And it gets down to so where do you go from here? So you've got a couple of different options. You've got cell phone appending, which is now pretty much baseline with a lot of the market, and of course that's opt-in data as well, very similar to the email that we discussed. We know, statistically speaking, from vendors that we partner with, Ted, large phonathon firms, that you're more likely to catch an alum on their cell phone than you are at home. In fact, many people don't even have the home phone. So home phone appending, while we're still doing it, the trend is towards cell phones. And certainly, emails are more and more relevant.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of people get a little bit nervous about using cell phones. So is it like most things? Is it a combination of these tools and not just, I'm going to phone or I'm going to email or I'm going to direct mail? Is it really a strategic campaign that you're talking about and that you're supporting, or is one more profitable than the other?
It depends on the nonprofit. It totally depends on the nonprofit. Some nonprofits have extremely successful direct mail campaigns. Some have phenomenal phone campaigns. Some have both. Some have great digital campaigns. And so it's leaning towards the spectrum. And then you have these large nonprofits which have been around, Ted, for many, many years, and they're just getting into social media, or they're just getting into email solicitations, and they're kind of testing the water. So it's kind of interesting to see how this is evolving, but what you have to do is you have to see what ultimately is successful, and based on your profile of donor. Some nonprofits, the donors are, the majority of them are retirees. What's the best way to engage retirees? And so that's something that they have to figure out.
So part of this is understanding your own market, and this the sort of data intelligence that you can provide really helps an organization be more strategic, and therefore, hopefully, by reducing costs by being more strategic, you're maximizing every dollar raised.
That's exactly right.
So, Steve, as we're approaching, sadly, the end of the show, and that always seems to be the case when we're having such a really terrific, informative discussion, break all this down, a review for us, each of the various services, and I'll just kind of prompt you on each of these, just to make sure that my listeners today have your one or two top tips in each of these areas as to what they should look for, whether they work for you or not, work with you or not. It's where does this fit within a campaign? So matching gifts.
Sure, absolutely. So matching gifts, what you want to make sure is that within your organization, whether you have a successful matching gift program or you don't, and I would venture to guess that a lot of folks in the audience now really want to maximize matching gifts, particularly at the end of the year. What you want to look at is every way you're engaging donors, you want to make matching gifts part of that discussion, and that's what we'll do at HEP, is identify which of your donors are matching gift eligible, provide the information on that company's matching gift policy, or guidelines, if you will, so that you can email the guidelines to the donor in an acknowledgement. You can make it readily available when you're calling them. You can make it readily available in your snail mail. Creating a culture of matching gifts within your organization and making somebody responsible for it will pay off.
Steve, what's typically the window that charities can successfully get a matching gift? In other words, if I'm here at year end and I've been raising money all year and I hadn't thought about this and now I want to try to get those, can I go all the way back to January or what for the, and I know it's probably different because each organization has its own policies, but in general, how far back can I go to try to get a gift that I've already raised matched?
Well, it varies. It's typically within the same fiscal year. So most nonprofits are going to be July 1, so typically within 12 months. Now, the deadlines for many of those, Ted, that varies. Most of them are annually or continuously. So continuously is good because then you can, they'll match gifts. You can send the send the guidelines in and get the gift match at any point in time during the year. Some match quarterly, it just depends. But having those guidelines and knowing when the distribution dates are and when the deadline dates for the donor to submit the form is really critical.
Now, the next area that I want to just quickly review is wealth identification. What's the top one or two tips that you have going into the new year?
Make sure that you're working with a vendor, a reputable vendor that can help you identify where the wealth in your database is. And as I noted before, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. And at HEP, what we're going to focus on and our users want is identifying actionable information in a real-time format so that you are not sifting through tens of thousands of bits of information. We help you kind of sort that out and, again, make the engagement process that much more efficient.
And how about data enrichment?
So data enrichment, as we noted earlier, it is about providing a little bit of a data enrichment a lot of the time. And we have customers on annual subscriptions, so they will NCOA, National Change of Address, their database every quarter, for example, or 6 times a year. It's less expensive to do that, pumping your records through phone appending if you're doing any type of phone campaign, running your records through email appending if you've got a digital campaign. And, of course, the addresses are critical because most people are sending out acknowledgments and so forth. So a little bit of that a lot of the time is what you want to be doing. And, Ted, if anybody has any questions, I know they can reach me through you. I know the podcast will be put up on your website, but we're happy to answer any and all questions.
Well, please make sure that my listeners know how to reach you directly. So how could they reach you?
So they can reach us HEP Data, that's www.hepdata.com, or info@hepdata.com, or 800-681-4438. Regardless if you want to work with us, feel free to ask questions. And one thing that I didn't mention, Ted, which is worth noting, we have a learning center which is second to none. There are over 30 current webinars from industry experts that you can download. It's totally free. It might be American Cancer Society on how they've gone from 4 million in matching gifts to over 14 million matching gifts in just a few years. It might be World Vision. It might be a small high school. It just depends. And there's some great information in there and best practices that you can share with your staff, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
Well, that's terrific. Here right at the end of the show, I do want to make note over in our newsletter, which is available at tedhart.com. We did want to make note of the fact that this is the time of year that a lot of folks plan for conferences and meetings and training events, and they can go to the newsletter and get information on how to book me as a speaker. This is a time of year that we are often working with folks on a variety of different topics, and while they're there, as you just mentioned, Steve, they can access all the podcasts. This show will be available about 20 minutes after the show ends, which we are wrapping up right now. So it's my opportunity to thank Steve Hafner from HEP Development Services for all of your assistance today, the wonderful tips, and we wish all of our listeners today great success. And just to remind you that we will be back next week, December 11th at 12 noon Eastern with Clint O'Brien, talking about core values and how you can have successful campaigns and remain true to the partners who are donating to you. Steve, thank you for being our guest, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Ted. You as well.
You've been listening to the Nonprofit Coach Radio Show with Ted Hart. Tell all your friends to check out our production schedule and download our iPod and iPad-friendly podcast at tedhart.com. Thanks for listening to the Nonprofit Coach.
Hola mi gente, Rosalind Sanchez here from He Said, Ella Dijo. And although I like drama in my telenovelas, when it comes to real life, I prefer a drama-free casa. Thanks to Fabuloso. Its remarkable lavender scent lingers like a longing glance. And with 2 times more active ingredients to take the drama out of any mess, you'll be shouting, gracias. Fabuloso's 2 times concentrated formula provides 2 times more active cleaning ingredients versus non-concentrated Fabuloso Original. Use as directed.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.